How's it going, guys? So we're going to be working in the milking parlor a bit this morning. We want to change the inflations on the milkers. There's also a little bit of an issue with the wash cycle. Pouring concrete right now. We're up to 112 feet on the silo. Getting up there pretty good. I don't know. No reason we stop now though, right? My dad's getting started in here. We'll see what's going on. Running the milker wash right now. You got these nice wash cups. We stick them in after every milking, and then it pulls hot water and some acid, and then there's a sanitized cycle. Our milk gets picked up every other day, and they'll test it for somatic cell and also the PI count, they call it. Our somatic cell is good, but the PI count was a little bit high, which usually means that something with the wash cycle isn't working right. So the milkers get washed as well as the milk line. The milk line comes across there into the back room and ends up over in the milk house, comes through the filter, and ends up making its way into the tank through this line right here. Right now it's hooked up to this drain. We swing that down for the milking. So this we call the wash vat, and this is where, once we start the wash cycle up, it'll pull water and the soap or acid into here to cycle through the milk system. We're suspicious that the pumps aren't working right, or something's not running the soaps into the wash vat like it's supposed to. So here in the back room we have the acid for the main wash and then the sanitizer barrel there. They get pumped up through these two pumps into the wash vat. We'll probably have to call the service guys to come out and look at it because I'm not sure exactly what the problem is.
Went on the box and the compass in there where
okay.
A little black thing.
My dad talked to the service guy. He's gonna stop in later today, but he said to check a fuse in this box. This fuse is fine. So I just manually dumped in some of the acid sanitizer so we can get it clean for today. And then the service guy will come out and check the system out. It's a rinse and then a detergent and then an acid sanitizer. That's how it works. Now the sanitizer cycle is running. What we want to do in the parlor today is change all these inflations. So these are silicone inflations. After a while they start to stretch a little bit and wear out. We replace them. That's about every 5 months we need to change them. Once this wash is done running, then we can start taking these milkers apart. Getting a bucket of soapy water, I'm going to go through and brush those milkers once we have them apart. It's really easy to remove the old ones. Just brush this up good and then the new ones fit on. The inflation is this soft rubber piece and it goes inside of this green plastic shell. And so that's what creates that squeezing on the teat when you're milking the cow, sort of like when you're stripping with your hand. These small lines are just pulses of air that create that squeeze in the soft rubber inside of that shell. Yeah, so on the milkers we got the pulsation lines and then the main vacuum milk line. We used to get our inflations outside of the shell, so we had to pull them through every time we changed them. It was a lot more work to get them changed. Now they just send them already pulled through different shells. This plastic shell gets reused a bunch of times. I'll start the fun part of brushing these up while Dad keeps working down through there. We got them all changed. Didn't even take an hour to do that job. Just 14 milkers. I'm getting the sprayer outside. I didn't get a chance to rinse it off last week after I got the fertilizer sprayed on the triticale. Thought it'd be good to do that now, and then I want to switch some nozzles on here for the next round of the fertilizer. In a few weeks, we're going to be ready to spray our second round of fertilizer on the spring forage crops. And what we're going to use for that is these stream nozzles. So instead of having the regular spray fan nozzle that we were using last week, these just have 7 little streams that they shoot out. That way the fertilizer kind of falls down between the plants rather than getting on the leaves of them, because it can actually damage the growing plant once they're greening up more like that. My dad just went and picked these other nozzles up. We're going to switch these out because the ones we were using before, these were more for around 8 to 10 gallons per acre that we would spray in the past. We want to run 15 gallons per acre this year. So rather than having to drive really slow, I thought we'll get some new nozzles to save me quite a bit of time when we're spraying. Our sprayer's set up with 15-inch spacing. What we're going to do with these is just put one every 30 inches and shut off the middle nozzle. Just saved us some cost of having to buy one for every 15 inches. It'll be plenty of beads of fertilizer, having one every 30 inches. No reason we buy 49 of them when we can buy 25, I guess. Well, that's all I wanted to do for now. Hey guys, so today's Friday, March the 8th. This will be the last day of pouring concrete in this silo. The ring they're pouring right now will be 128 feet. So they got one more form to move up and pour today. And then next week they have to put the roof on and the ladder guard and everything. I did talk about it in my last video. People were asking why they're not using a pump truck. So they're only pouring 4 feet of the silo at a time. It's about 7 yards of concrete. And to get a pump in here, set that up just for 7 yards, and then it has to be cleaned out, it just wouldn't make any sense. Kind of one of them things, once you get it rolling, you want to do a bunch of concrete. So they bucket it, and it's pretty efficient. Really don't take that long. They can pour 3 rings a day, so it's pretty good. I'm sure it would be more expensive to pump the concrete. I don't think the time savings would be worth the extra costs to get them out to do that. It's kind of a muddy mess on the driveway. My dad's working at scraping this up right now. When they first started building the silo, it looked a lot wider than our other silos. Those are 20-foot diameter, the new one's 24. It's just looking thinner and thinner as it gets taller. It is wider, but it doesn't look like it. This morning I want to work at collecting tissue samples from a bunch of our heifers. We do genomic testing on all of our animals. So what they're able to do is take a little bit of a tissue sample out of their ear, and they can look at the DNA and basically tell us what the odds are that this calf is going to be profitable or productive. I honestly have no idea how the science works for this. It's crazy what people have been able to figure out, but we've been using genomic data to make decisions on animals for over 10 years now. We originally started doing it because we had so many extra heifers, and we were selling heifers based on which had the lowest net merit score. We usually go based on net merit, which is basically kind of the projected profitability of an animal versus some sort of average. So there's a net merit dollar score, basically how many dollars they're going to make you. You can't really trust that one animal is going to work out the way that the numbers say, but if you're making decisions on a couple hundred animals, in general those numbers are going to be accurate. You're going to have better animals if you're keeping your highest net merit animals, basically. Lately we've been breeding with a lot more Angus to reduce the amount of heifer calves we have being born, so we don't have too many extra If we can improve the longevity of the cows in our milking barn, we'll have less need for young animals, and that just saves us money because the second biggest cost on a dairy farm is raising your replacements. All these guys, feeding all them as calves and then up through the heifer barn. Our biggest cost is feed, but second is replacement animals. Trying not to raise more of these young guys than we need, and then increasing the amount of Angus cross calves that we can be selling is kind of the key we've found. So now we're not using the genomic data as much to sell. We do sell some if we have extras, but it's really nice to have for breeding decisions. If we want to breed them with assorted semen and have a heifer calf from them, or if we want to just breed them with an Angus, that way we're going off that genomic data, not just based on how good a calf's mom was or how good of a milker she is or something. The genomic data is going to be more reliable and accurate than that. The way we collect these samples, we get these little tissue collectors. It fits into this applicator type thing. We'll just be able to cut a little circle out of the ear, just enough for them to be able to get their DNA sample from it. There would be some advantage to collecting these more often. I usually end up doing it twice a year, just go through and get 50 animals or so. Some of these animals are pretty old. If we wanted to sell them, we could have sold them sooner than we are. We don't have a lot of extra heifers, so I'm not as worried about getting these samples collected first thing when they're born. But yeah, so I think we got about 40 today that we need to get. So I'm gonna get these tied in the headlocks. Looks like some of them are getting caught already. Our first pen's always fun because we have these slant bars. It's just a little nicer for them to eat. But then when we wanna do something like this, we can't really collect them that easily. I'll have to pen them behind the gate over there. We'll make it work. Trying to get as many of these caught as I can. Just makes the job easier once I get started. I got to give my dad credit for getting in the genomic testing. It was kind of a new thing back in 2010 or 2012 when we started using it. We had so many extra heifers, my dad was just looking for a way to sell them with some more confidence. Yeah, there's a couple different repro management things that my dad changed in the mid 2000s, late 2000s that really seemed to make a difference long term. All right, I'm gonna go chase that one little girl up here. She's just laying back there chilling. It's not gonna do it for me. I just scanned the barcode on the end of the box. So now I just have to click on each of these samples. It's gonna assign an animal to it. I think the first animal is number 189. Just grab this first sample. I just make sure the number actually matches. It's pretty easy to collect the samples. Just locks in there. So it's got this little circular knife, and it'll just push. It's a plunger that'll come out, and it'll just push a little bit of that ear into the vial there. There's a sample there. It's just a tiny little circle it cuts out of the ear. Still got a few more samples to grab. They're about to move that last form. This will be the last time they raise it. So this is jump form construction. They do slip form as well for towers. Slip form would be a form that's constantly moving, so you have to be adding concrete as it rises. You have to go around the clock to build the tower. The nice thing with that is there's no seams in it. With these jump forms, there's a cold seam between every 4 feet. It's not really a concern. I guess a slight bit of air could get through that technically, but not really. Now we'll get to see what the full height looks like. They have to add the roof still to it. That's going to be another 12 feet. The tallest silos they've built is 148 feet. So that'd be another 16 on top of that. I don't know that they've made a 24-foot diameter silo that tall. There's a few 30 by 148s out there. We collected all the samples we needed in the heifer barn. Now we're in the calf barn. My dad had to do something else for a little bit, so we'll try to work at this. We'll get everybody the whole way down to the youngest ones. Of course, we'll skip the neighbor's Angus calves. We're keeping 12 Angus cross bull calves for a neighbor. He's gonna raise them. We got $850 for a 5-day-old Angus cross calf the other day. These guys are worth an insane amount right now. Sort of the game right now is how many of these Angus cross calves can we possibly have. For a while when we first started doing the genomic testing, we struggled to know if it was worth the investment because this test cost us about $25. When we first started doing it, it was more like $45. We were always struggling to know if it was worth the money, and we're at the point now where we're definitely convinced it's worth it. Even just for breeding decisions, if you want to breed a cow with Angus or Holstein, it's nice to know the genomic information. Sometimes you have a third lactation cow that's a really good milker, but her genomic test says that she shouldn't be bred with Holstein, that you should just give her Angus. We've just learned to trust that and not worry so much. The great cows can stay in the barn and make milk. They don't need to necessarily have a heifer calf. So a lot of our heifer calves are coming out of our first calf heifers that first come into the barn and start milking. They have a heifer calf. Most of the mature cows are having Angus calves. Even the good milking cows, we're breeding them with Angus. It's amazing, the ones of these that we raise, how much fatter they get than the Holsteins. They just have different genetics. They put on the weight. They're just a little bit better at turning feed into meat. That's why they're a little more valuable. We need to get these guys moved out to the heifer barn. They're just getting way too big for this pen. I got all the tissue samples collected. We got 49 for today. We'll just mail these in and we'll get the results back pretty soon. Pretty handy because they'll just send them straight to our computer program that we use to manage the herd. Every animal has their own page on the computer, and we can look at the genomic data here. Animals net merit there 627. Just predicts the profitability based on how they score with fat and protein, milk production, and productive life. Basically the longevity, what they predict how long the animal will stay in the herd. They are pouring the final layer right now. So there it is. I mean, it's tall, but it doesn't seem unclimbable to me. I'd walk up closer there and show the electric winch they have, but I don't want to stand too close because there's little bits of concrete that can fall. Things pretty quick. Going up, it's not slow, and coming down, you can really drop it fast. Something cool I wanted to show you guys here. My dad was doing a tour for a school group today. He measured out the ration for our cows on the ground. So this is what one of our cows eats for a day. Got all the ingredients and how much of each ingredient. Kind of a cool visual what goes into the milk cow ration. So our biggest ingredient is the corn silage. We have the rilage and toasted corn. This is our supplement with soybean meal and mineral. This is Plenish soybeans, high oleic soybeans, toasted and rolled. And then we got a little bit of dry hay, and this is the molasses right there. Get that all mixed into a TMR so it's a consistent bite of feed. Whenever a cow's taking a bite, it should be about the same thing. It's going to help digestion and everything, being able to absorb the nutrients properly. Just thought I would show you guys this. I thought this was kind of cool. Thought I'd take advantage since my dad did the work to measure everything out. I just dropped the bottom form down to the ground there because they poured that yesterday. Next week they'll be able to take the top two off, put the roof on it. I feel like I lack creativity because every video ends with me walking towards my office saying the same line, but I don't know what else to say. So I appreciate you guys watching. See you in the next one.